Hoi! Today I have Rosianna, or Miss X Rojas. We're gonna talk about Shakespeare today. As you might remember from my 2014 video, I pledged to read 10 Shakespeare plays this year. Now, I don't know a lot about Shakespeare, which is why I brought in Rosianna here. Because
I love Shakespeare obsessively and deeply. Did you know that I used to think I was going to do a degree in English and then get a master's in like Elizabethan Shakespeare?
Really?
And then get a PhD and become like all notable. But that didn't happen.
How many Shakespeare plays do you think you've read?
I've read them all.
You've read all of them?
Yeah.
Oh my god. See, that's why she's
and
here.
Like a lot of them
This
multiple times as well. Yeah. And I've seen at least half of them acted.
My track record so far is I studied Macbeth 3 times.
I can't believe that.
And I've seen a performance of Macbeth. I've read Romeo and Juliet, and I've seen like so many kind of movies based
Romeo
on it
plus
where they use the actual text.
Right.
So I feel like I'm really familiar with it, and I've seen that performed at the Globe Theatre. The rest is like a big cloud of mystery. She made me a list.
Yeah, it was kind of hard because it's partly like my favourite ones, but it's also the ones that are really kind of essential to the canon and like serve a particular purpose and like show a development in his writing.
So basically what I did is I went to Hatchard's. I spent all of my money on 10 beautiful editions of some Shakespeare plays. We're just gonna get them from the bag and Rosie will kind of reveal which ones they are and she will explain why she picked them.
Okay.
It's like an unboxing, but not quite.
So this is Richard III, which for those of you who know it, starts with a very, very famous soliloquy. And Richard III is very like an iconic play visually because Richard III isn't the sexiest. It's an important play. It's very British, very much part of like British history that you kind of learn at school and is really like not that interesting unless you find ways to make it more exciting.
The edition that I went for is the Penguin, the new Penguin editions.
It's exciting, funny, sexy and violent, and it's definitely violent. I've seen this one in theatre and there's some parts where I'm just like, this is a little bit too much information. A Midsummer Night's Dream. This is bottom.
I feel like I've seen movies where they perform Midsummer Night's Dream.
A lot of like high school things and then also in ballet shoes.
Yes.
People who don't necessarily love Shakespeare as much a lot of the time tend to find this one really great. It's not accessible so much like, oh, it's really simple, but it's funny and it's weird and it's a little bit mystical. For the season of love, Othello, which is a great one. Don't really know what to say about Othello. It's good and weird and you don't know who you like in it.
What's it about?
It's hard to say.
Okay.
Much Ado About Nothing. Do you know this one at all?
No.
It's like Romeo and Juliet, but everything doesn't quite go as disastrously wrong.
Oh.
And it's also really adaptable to the new age.
I really like this cover. It's really pretty.
The next one is King Lear, which is the home of Exit Pursued by a Bat. This was the first Shakespeare play I ever encountered when I was in year 3, so I was 7 or 8 years old. We had a production, we did a production of King Lear. So King Lear has, I think, 3 daughters, and it's all about like their character and how they're going to use the inheritance and their rivalries for the inheritance and like family troubles and how a family relates to their aging relatives. The Taming of the Shrew.
Actually, I might have a copy of, and I should have read for class at some point. I'm fairly certain.
You're so naughty.
I might not have.
Okay, George Bernard Shaw says, I pity the man who cannot enjoy Shakespeare. And as always, George Bernard Shaw is my homeboy. Taming of the Shrew is a controversial one because people think a lot of it is about whether women should submit to their husbands. And if you read it, it depends as always on the way you read it and the way you adapt it. And it's all about like, there's a bet in place whether he can tame this girl to be his wife. There's the final decision of whether or not she is tamed is like ambiguous. I would argue, but that's because I'm me, that it's like an early feminist text. This is one of my favourite plays for a really long time. It's probably my top 5 favourite plays generally. So this is the play from which, if you're a fan of The Fault in Our Stars, it's the line, the fault did Brutus. It's not in the stars but in ourselves that we are underlings. And you know, some of us might have had a small conversation with John that led to the title being made that way. Julius Caesar is great. A lot of people don't like it because they don't find it as satisfying, but it was written around the same time as like Hamlet was written. I really like it just because of the use of language and the way they talk about destiny and fate, and it's also quite easy to read as well.
Do I need to have any like prior knowledge of Julius Caesar to read this?
The thing you have to remember is that Shakespeare was like a boy from Stratford-upon-Avon. He didn't travel. He's likely to have got his knowledge of Europe from his friends who came back.
And same for the audience as well, I guess. The audience wouldn't have known.
He sets the scene. It's like the beginning of Star Wars when they have like the scrolling text. This is my favourite play in the history of the world. This is Hamlet. I love it. Hamlet became my favourite play the second I read it. I think it's so clever and interesting, and Hamlet is such a unique and interesting character from Shakespeare's perspective. He's so introspective and he's so in his own head, but he doubts himself. Oh my god, it's just so good.
This is the to be or not to be one, right?
And oh, yours too solid flesh would melt, and alas poor Yorick.
I'm so excited to like read it and discover all those lines that I'm already familiar with.
Well, the biggest one is all of Polonius's lines. This above all else to thine own self be true, which is stuff that my dad used to say. He knew it was from Hamlet and he knew it was from Polonius, but still it's what parents say without realising that the whole thing is making fun of those easy aphorisms, like it's making fun of all of it. And the next one is Twelfth Night, which is another one that we did a lot in primary school. We did it 3 times.
I am vaguely familiar with this. Look at those shoes. Yeah, I think I was supposed to read this in my first year and I did read part of it and we did talk about it and stuff. I've seen She's the Man, so I think I got the plot line down.
Yeah, that's the one thing I was going to say about Taming of the Shrew. That's 10 Things I Hate About You. Twelfth Night is just like really funny, like comedy of errors, twins that were separated and like mistaken identity.
It's also the one that kind of like Shakespeare in love.
It plays a lot with Twelfth Night.
Yeah, I think I'm going to start with this one actually.
Yeah, I think it's a good way into it. The last one is an interesting one.
Beautiful. I haven't even looked at it properly.
It's also, I think, the last one that Shakespeare wrote by himself or is thought to have written by himself, which is The Tempest. The cover is absolutely incredible. So The Tempest is like a very classical play, and when you read it you get the sense that this is a man very aware that he's going to be like, people are going to be looking back at him and his legacy. I felt always when reading it, it was like he was trying to create a very classical Greek play. It's the Duke of Milan, I think, or the Duke of somewhere, is trying to restore his daughter to her rightful place as like the heir. So he tempts the king and I think his son over from the mainland, but through the storm. It's just different from everything else.
What kind of genre is this one?
It's almost like an adventure story, but a dark adventure story.
So this is what I will be reading this year.
Yeah.
You know when people buy like workout clothes because it makes them want to work out more? I just buy pretty editions of the books, so I want to read them more. What I'm going to try and do is read one of these every month, starting with February. I can finish it in November and then do like the final wrap up in December.
I think that's good. And then you should bring me in and then we can discuss Shakespeare.
Yes, we shall. Yeah. I'm gonna make a video for each and every one of these that I read. So if you guys are studying Shakespeare this year, or you just love Shakespeare, or you don't know anything about Shakespeare and you want to read with me, I would highly recommend that.
Me too. Shakespeare is good for you.
Thank you very much for helping me out.
Of course.
And I hope you guys enjoyed it.
Exit pursued by a bet.
Hell me cool.